Hello everybody, Nick here. At time of recording it is about 20 to 10 p.m. I am at Showcase Cinemas in Newham. Oh yeah, okay, I can't really show you that very well, but yeah, I can't really show you very well, but I am at Showcase Cinemas Newham, Newham near, not far from Beckton, in London, and I came here to see, you might see it on the screen, there, okay, it's over there, Lupin III, the first, which is only having one screening at Showcase Cinemas across the UK. So this is the only chance people can go and see this film in the cinemas. Unfortunately, luckily I was able to come down and watch the film. My parents dropped me down and they've gone off to watch Cruella. I'm outside waiting for them. So in the meantime, I thought I would do a little reaction. There you go, there's the entrance properly. Done better. So a quick reaction to my thoughts on this film, and don't worry, there will be a full review coming up within a few days' time. I hope to record it tomorrow, and hopefully it'll be up within a few more days after this. But yeah, at time recording this reaction, it's Wednesday the 2nd of June 2021. So hopefully everything is okay with everyone. Right, so this is another one take only video, and I am using a selfie stick to record it, although it's not one that when pressing the button it works anymore. It doesn't work anymore, but it's still useful for holding out a camera phone for this type of recording. So thoughts on Lupin III, the first. This is an incredible film. Okay, maybe not incredible, but it's amazing. This is a brilliant film. The plot is very much Indiana Jones-esque, where we've got these group of characters looking for a treasure and looking for this, well, I wouldn't say it's a mythological thing in this film, but certainly it has a very end-of-the-world destructive capability that the Indiana Jones films certainly have with their mythological findings. I don't know if the guy who's standing over there is getting picked up now. It might be, yeah, he's going. I can probably go a bit closer to the entrance now. Then again, I am a bit out of people's way, so maybe I'll just stick around here. People have been littering, by the way, around here. Don't litter, people. It's not nice. But you know, if I stand like that, then yeah, that's better. So yeah, it's a bit like Indiana Jones, where they're looking for this mythological, well, not the mythological thing, but this treasure that has the power to destroy the world. Lupin's grandfather attempted to steal this many years prior, so Lupin is trying to finish what his grandfather started. Meanwhile, Bresson, the creator of this diary, his granddaughter, who doesn't know it at the moment, I'll get more into this in the review, I'll get more into story details in the review, but she's trying to find this diary for the person who's claiming to be her grandfather, who's actually working with some people who want to restore the Third Reich. This film is set, well, I heard it was set in the 1970s, but the film opens during World War II, and then it says cuts to more than a decade later. So that would imply a decade would be about the 1950s. But Letitia, the character, the granddaughter of Bresson, is late teenage or early 20s in the film, and she was a baby in the in the opening scene. So I'm going to say this is more likely set in the early 1960s. Maybe it should have said 2 decades later. I don't know if that was a translation problem, or if someone at the Japanese team didn't put the right date in. Either them or the English translation, one or the other. I saw the subtitled version, by the way, though I suppose the dubbed version, which isn't getting shown, but hopefully both will be released on a Blu-ray later down the line. But yeah, the English would probably still include the English subtitles on the movie as well, if it was in the English dub. But anyway, someone made a mistake there. I suppose more than a decade later could imply anything after 10 years, but I'm going to guess it's something along the lines closer to noisy car. I'm going to say it's somewhere on the lines between 18 and 23 years later, so I'm going to guess early 1960s, or at the very least the end of the 1950s, which is actually it's probably the earliest adventure a Lupin story has taken place, besides some earlier scenes in Castle Cagliostro, as apparently that film was set in 1968, unless that was the flashback sequences, and then the rest of the film is 79. So yeah, this might be this potentially is the earliest set Lupin the Third film and television adventure, eclipsing the original television series of the early 1970s, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary later this year, and Part 6, which I did a announcement reaction video to earlier in the week, is coming out later this year in Japan. So hopefully we'll be getting that, us in the UK will be getting that on Crunchyroll. Might come on Crunchyroll late 2021, early 2022. If not, it'll come next year or 2023. Anyway, back to the film. The film, these people who want to restore the Third Reich, as I mentioned, it's set in the not too long after World War II, about 2 decades later. So they want to restore the Third Reich, and the Diary of Bresson has something to do with this. So they are hunting for this. Meanwhile, Lupin and his gang are hunting for this, and then eventually they have to try and stop these people trying to steal the diary and reclaim Bresson's diary, or at least just stop them from destroying the world. And it's a really fun and rollicking adventure. It's got the usual Lupin the Third stuff going on there, whilst also having this grand, epic movie story that is reminiscent to Indiana Jones. And I think it captures the Lupin the Third franchise perfectly. I think this is definitely an adventure to show newcomers to the series. It's definitely one of the best ways to access the franchise if you're looking for the first time, because it's a nice, easy, typical Lupin the Third adventure. It doesn't really do too much with changing the formula as much, but it doesn't mean not doing anything challenging. Doesn't mean it's a simple story. It's actually a pretty different story to what some of the other adventures do, but also sticking pretty true to the formula of what a Lupin the Third adventure would be. And I think definitely it's a feature-length movie version of what the stories usually do. So something a bit like the specials, but on a more cinematic level. And I definitely think it works really well on that. I do have to say I got a bit of a criticism with the film. It doesn't really utilise all its main characters that well. It's a very Lupin-centric movie, of course. He's the main character, but like with Castle Cagliostro, which is my personal favourite entry in the series, like that film, some of the main characters don't really get as much to do. I mean, some of the main characters of the franchise. In that film, Goemon was very sidelined in that film, and Jigen got a bit sidelined later on as well. In this film, Jigen, Goemon, and to a lesser extent Fujiko get quite sidelined a bit. It's mostly focused on Lupin and Letitia. By the way, if you're struggling to hear me, sorry about that, I'm just outside, it's quite noisy. So yeah, I thought it was very Lupin-centric, which is fine, but I felt like some of the other main characters of the franchise who have got main credits in this film, and their actors have the main credits. So by the way, Goemon is placed above Fujiko in the credits list. Again, I'm not sure why, and then Fujiko is middle in the titles, and then it goes to Goemon, then Zenigata. So yeah, put Fujiko third or Goemon third. Make your mind up. Personally, for me, it would be Fujiko third, then Goemon. But anyway, so yeah, I think Goemon and Jigen should have had a bit more to do. Fujiko, I think she has a couple of good stuff, but I think there could have been a bit more contributions to them. Sorry, I got a bit spooked just now. Zenigata does get a little bit to do as well, but not a huge amount either. So apart from Lupin, the main characters don't get a huge amount to do in this film, I should say. It's mostly focused on Lupin and Letitia and some of the other new characters. That means they're not wasted, but I think there could have been a bit more of them to do. That's really my only kind of issue, but that's more of a personal thing than a critical thing. I think some of the other main characters should have done, and I think this film's a bit more guilty of that than Castle Cagliostro, because at least Zenigata got a bit of a different story. Yeah, to be honest, got one here as well, but I think that maybe some of the other characters should have gotten a bit more to do. But that being said, we've got some really good new characters in as well, and they're not going to be popping up in any other series unless there's a sequel to this one where Letitia pops up again. I'm not quite sure if they're going to, if they do any more CGI Lupin the Third films, they'll continue this story, or if they'll continue to be standalone adventures like the other 2D animated ones. I don't think we've ever had a proper 2D animated film that has a sequel to anything. The exception would be the Detective Conan's crossover film being a sequel to the spin-off, the special a few years earlier that did something similar, and then the movie is a sort of semi-sequel to that. But yeah, if there's any sequels to this film, then I wouldn't be surprised if Letitia returned, but then again, I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't. So I suppose not having the main characters in this movie as much kind of makes a bit of sense, because they're in almost everything else. There's at least two of them in something else. So if they're not as much of a main part of this film, well, you can always go to, say, let's say Legend of Golden Babylon, where all of them are used really well to have some sort of effectiveness to a degree. So it's a bit of a disappointment that Jigen and Goemon, and to a lesser extent Chichiko and Zenigata, couldn't do a bit more, but on the other hand, they still did really well. That's really only my kind of personal gripe with the movie. It's not really much of a criticism, it's just a personal thing. But overall, this is a really great movie and really entertaining and ton of fun. I could go on for hours about stuff like this, or at the very least more minutes, but we've gone past 10 minutes. We're coming up to 11. It's got to be one take shot, and other people are coming in and out. And I'm in a car park where it's quite noisy, near a main road where it's very noisy. So I'll quickly wrap up by saying that Lupin the Third, the first, is amazing. It's an amazing film, has some really great stuff going for it, and it's just a whole ton of fun and definitely worth a rollock. If you haven't been lucky enough to see the film at the cinema, check it out once it comes to DVD and Blu-ray. This is for UK viewers. Okay, gotta go. Bye.